I should have never gone back to Blackwater Lake. Self-narrated horror story. It all started with a dream. Not the kind that stirs up warm memories or childhood nostalgia. This wasn't me reminiscing about old fishing trips or summer nights under the stars. No. This dream was something else entirely dark, suffocating, and paralyzing. The kind that grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go. That jolts you awake in a cold sweat, leaving your heart pounding and your limbs frozen with fear. In the dream, I was underwater, not swimming, but drowning. The water was pitch black, icy cold, and thick like syrup, making it almost impossible to breathe or move. I could feel something hands, small and clammy, gripping my ankles, pulling me deeper into the abyss, farther from the surface and any hope of air. Just before I lost consciousness in the dream, just as the pressure in my chest became unbearable, I saw it, a pale face beneath the surface, hovering inches from mine. It wasn't threatening at first, just watching, almost curious, a child. Eyes wide, unblinking, and then it smiled. Not an innocent or warm smile, but something twisted, something that told me, even in sleep, that this was only the beginning. I hadn't thought about Blackwater Lake in years, but after that night, I couldn't get it out of my head. I tried ignoring it, brushing it off as stress or some suppressed memory coming back to haunt me, but the dreams kept coming, and they were getting worse. On the fourth night, I woke up with muddy footprints on my bedroom floor. I live alone. That's when I knew it wasn't just a dream. Something was calling me, pulling me back. I should have known better. I did know better. But some stupid part of me, part that missed those simpler summers, fishing off that rickety old dock with Uncle Terry, convinced me to go back. Only this time, I wasn't going back for the memories. I needed answers. The drive up to Blackwater was as long and winding as I remembered. Only now, the road seemed darker, narrower. The trees leaned closer to the shoulder, as if they were watching me pass, judging my return. There weren't many towns between me and the lake anymore. Just dead gas stations, shuttered diners, and silence. When I finally reached what was left of Blackwater, I saw that it had nearly become a ghost town. The only real sign of life was the bait shack run by Old Man Darcy, though. Run is generous. The man was ancient back when I was a kid. Now, he looked like something pulled out of the lake itself. Gaunt, grey-skinned, and jittery, with red-rimmed eyes that didn't blink enough. "I need a boat," I told him. He looked me over for a long time, before slowly nodding and disappearing into the back. He returned with an old wooden rowboat key and a lantern. "Don't stay past sundown," he croaked. I didn't answer. I just paid, grabbed the gear, and drove the final dirt trail down to the lake. Blackwater Lake hadn't changed, still hidden like a secret. Surrounded by pines so thick they blocked out the sun early, mist hovered over the water's surface like it had been waiting. The air was thick with the smell of wet earth, and the silence was immediate and suffocating. No wind, no birds, no insects, just stillness. I hauled the boat out onto the creaking dock and pushed off. The water barely rippled. I had barely rowed out to the middle when I noticed something odd. The temperature dropped, fast. My breath fogged, and the hairs on my arms stood up. I stopped rowing, letting the boat drift. And then I heard it. A splash, not far away. I turned quickly, scanning the lake, but saw nothing. Still, I felt a presence close, watching. I shook it off, telling myself it was just the nerves. I cracked open a beer, baited my line, and cast out. The lake swallowed the bobber silently. No ripples, no movement. For a few hours, nothing happened. Just the occasional groan of the boat's wood shifting, and the quiet glug of water slapping against the sides. Then, just past midnight, the real horror began. The first thing I noticed was the boat. Not mine, another. It appeared maybe 30 feet away. Out of nowhere, a small half-sunken rowboat just drifting silently. I was sure it hadn't been there before. I squinted, trying to make out any detail. There was a figure in its maul, slumped over the side, like a child sleeping. "Hello?" I called, standing up slightly. The figure didn't move. I grabbed the lantern, leaned forward, and tried to get a better look. That's when the figure moved. Not sat up, twitched. Its head turned slowly toward me. And though I couldn't see the eyes, I felt them lock onto mine. The bobber on my line dipped. Then the line jerked so violently, it nearly pulled me overboard. I yanked back, heart pounding. The rod bent sharply, creaking under tension. I reeled in, fighting against something that was pulling back, something that wasn't trying to escape, but to drag me in. The other boat was gone. Just gone. No splash, no sound, just vanished. And then I felt it, just a faint brush at first, like a ripple in the water brushing against my skin. But it wasn't the water. It lingered. Cold, clammy, and deliberate. Before I could react, something began to curl around my ankles-thin, icy fingers, wrapping tightly. My breath caught in my throat as I leaned over the side of the boat and looked down, and there they were, small, pale hands reaching up from the black water, child-sized, wrong. I couldn't see their faces, but I knew they were there, just beneath the surface. I screamed loud, raw, and desperate, and thrashed violently. The grip didn't loosen. I kicked hard, trying to tear myself free. My heel connected with something solid, and for a split second, I swore I felt the shape of a skull. I lost my balance and slammed backward into the wooden bench, the air rushing out of me. But I kept kicking, harder and harder, until finally the hands let go. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I just dropped to the floor of the boat, grabbed the oars with trembling hands, and began to row like my life depended on it, because it did. I didn't look back, didn't dare. My breath came in short, ragged gasps, and my heart pounded in my ears. The shore felt impossibly far, like it was drifting away as I fought to reach it. When I finally hit land, I dragged the boat halfway onto the sand and collapsed, soaked in sweat and shaking from head to toe. That's when I saw it floating exactly where my boat had been just moments earlier. A single bobber. Not mine. It glowed red. The red glow. Floating in the water where my boat had just been. A single glowing bobber, pulsing with a sickly red light. It hovered, motionless, like it was waiting for something. Then, a whisper. It wasn't carried on the wind, it was inside my head. A child's voice, singing, "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream." My blood turned to ice. I grabbed my keys and ran to the car. When I slammed the door shut, I heard a soft tapping on the window. I turned, and there was a small wet handprint on the glass. I peeled out of there without ever looking back. I didn't sleep for days after that. I kept the lights on. I locked every door and window. But it didn't help. The nightmares came harder. I started seeing things, little wet footprints across my living room floor, red bobbers hanging from my showerhead, whispers from the sink drain. I knew I needed answers. So, I dug into Blackwater's history, the real story buried deep in old news archives and forgotten records. Turns out, Blackwater Lake wasn't always a lake. It used to be a town. A small village called Dorsey Hollow, founded in the late 1800s. The whole place was wiped out in the 1930s, when a dam was built downstream, flooding the valley. Everyone was relocated, or so they claimed. There was an orphanage in the town, St. Eliza's Home for Lost Children. It was never officially evacuated. According to old records, the orphanage sank with 23 children and 2 caretakers still inside. Their bodies were never recovered. Officially, it was a tragic oversight. Unofficially, there were whispers, rumors of cruelty, of children begging to leave and being denied. Some say the caretakers never let them go. Now, the children don't let anyone leave either. People vanish at Blackwater Lake. Others return hollow, haunted like Old Man Darcy, who just stares at the water and whispers at night. The lake doesn't just kill, it remembers, it collects. And lately, I've heard soft giggling in the corners of my darkened home. I don't think I escaped. I think they're just waiting. For now. And moral of the story is, beware the calm and beauty of the lake. Its still waters may hide dark and deadly secrets.